All right, so this is the regular council meeting of Monday, July 4th, 2022. It is 6 p.m. Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded over Zoom and will be available on the city's website within the next few days after the meeting. The first item that we have is adoption of the minutes. There are 3 sets of minutes. There's a public hearing of May 24th, 2022, the regular council meeting of May 24th, 2022, and the Governance and Operations Committee meeting of June 13th, 2022. The recommendation is that all 3 sets of minutes as listed be adopted as circulated. Is someone willing to make that motion? Councillor Butler and Councillor Jones. Any errors, omissions, comments, questions on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll go for a vote. All in favor? Against, if any? Carried. Thank you. Public question period. Ms. McIsaac, you're upstairs. Is there anyone up there with you today?
No one has joined the council chambers room. Okay.
And was there anything sent in by email?
No, there was not.
All right. So public question period is completed then. Item number 3, communications. There are 2 proclamations under item 3.1. The first is Wrongful Conviction Day. The second is Special Olympics Global Week of Inclusion. The recommendation for us to consider today is that Council proclaims Sunday, October 2nd, 2022 as Wrongful Conviction Day and July 18th to the 24th, 2022 as Special Olympics Global Week of Inclusion in the City of Trail. Do I have someone to make that motion? Councillor Gadafoni Robinson, thank you. Do I have someone to second that motion? Councillor Doby, thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments on this item? Councillor Doby, go ahead.
I don't remember us having this brought forward in the past. Is my memory failing me that much, or am I correct? Have we been acknowledging this every year?
Is it the Wrongful Conviction Day proclamation that you're inquiring about, or the Special Olympics?
Sorry, Ms. McIsaac, the Special Olympics.
You're testing my memory as well. I don't recall that they've approached us with respect to a proclamation in past.
I think this might be something new or just in the last few years. And I just wondered, should we be doing anything, the City of Trail, to acknowledge other than just saying that we're acknowledging it?
Council's practice traditionally is just to reply back to those who are seeking the proclamations. If there's any special lighting associated with the event, we will turn the bridge lights to that color. So perhaps staff on the back end can just have a look at whether or not there's any lighting themes that would be associated with the Special Olympics, and we could make a note on that day or at that on that
week,
time period of that week to make the change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this matter? No, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried, thank you. So now we're under bylaws. Number 4, first one, 4.1 is a zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw number 2922-2022, first and second readings. Councillor Santori, go ahead.
Yeah, as previously discussed, I'll recuse myself from any discussion or any vote on the matter. I have a conflict as one of my family members is married to the applicant's daughter.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Jones?
I will be doing the same as well, as the applicant is my brother-in-law.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll just wait for you both to leave the meeting and we'll resume. Okay, ready to go, Ms. McIsaac?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So I will turn the floor over to you to introduce this zoning bylaw amendment.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. R1 R125 Enterprises, who I'll refer to from here out as R125, is the property owner of the undeveloped properties at 8263, 8273, and 8283 Old Juanita Road. The legal descriptions of those are lots 1, 2, and 3 of Plan EPP 9924. Richard Dudney, representing R125, has applied to rezone those 3 properties from single-family residential R1 to a low-density multiple-family residential R6. Mr. Dudney is proposing to construct a 3-unit townhouse on each of the 3 properties. And in order to allow for the proposed multifamily development to proceed, the zoning of the properties would need to be changed to the low density multiple family residential zone R6, and some variances to the yard setbacks would also have to be authorized by council. We have drafted zoning bylaw amendment bylaw number 2922 accordingly, and it's being presented to you for first and second readings tonight. Just as a reminder and background, the 8-lot subdivision along Old Juanita Road was originally constructed by Riverland Development with final approval of the subdivision granted in 2011. The 8 lots were originally zoned R1, single family residential, which would have allowed for 8 single family residences to be developed on the lots in total. Since the time of the subdivision's construction, there have been some zoning amendments requested. Most recently, lots 4 and 5 were rezoned. They've been consolidated and they were rezoned to a small multiple family residential R5 zone to allow a 6-unit townhouse development to be constructed on the 2 combined lots of lots 4 and 5. So what Mr. Dudney is proposing here in terms of scale is quite similar to what is constructed on lots 4 and 5. Which have since been consolidated. When this application was brought forward, it was considered that the low density multiple family residential R6 zone would be the best fit for what is being proposed here. There would be some minor variances to the front and side yard setbacks required to appropriately site the buildings on the properties. And if council is agreeable with going forward with first and second readings and we work through the public hearing process and this bylaw does come to council for adoption at a future time, we would be suggesting that we issue a development variance permit simultaneously to that to vary the minimum front yard from 7.6 meters to 5 meters and the interior side yard from 4.5 meters to 1.2 meters. And that is also in keeping with the other development that's occurred on those 8, on some of the 8 lots there. The multifamily residential development proposed does align with the residential development on the properties that are immediately adjacent to it. And although this proposed zoning change would result in an increase in dwelling density in the immediate vicinity, there is really only those 8 lots in that stretch of Old Juanita Road. And so any increase in traffic and potential demand for street parking shouldn't materially impact or significantly impact the neighboring properties. When council is considering any zoning change, particularly residential, we do remind you that the regional housing needs assessment that was prepared by the Regional District of Kootenay Boundary and titled the House and Home RDKB Housing Needs Report did indicate a definite need for new and alternative housing types in Trail. And so if this rezoning is approved, it would allow for the construction of some new multifamily housing stock in which there's a very limited supply presently. So would seek to improve the housing stock locally. But with any rezoning, of course, we do have the legislative requirement to hold a public hearing. So should council proceed with first and second readings of the bylaw tonight, we would plan to hold the public hearing so that you could hear any concerns directly from impacted property owners, should there be any, at the time of the public hearing. And we would schedule that for July 18th at 6 o'clock, just prior to the regular council meeting. And so unless there are any questions from council, it is being recommended that the zoning bylaw amendment bylaw number 2922, 2022 receive its first and second readings tonight.
Okay, there is the recommendation before you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this? No? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion or move the recommendation? Okay, Councillor Gattafoni Robinson and seconded by Councillor Butler. No other comments, questions? Just want to make sure. All right, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried. Thank you. So now we're on to bylaw 4.2, Trail Recreation Fee Bylaw Amendment Bylaw number 2921, 2022. First, second, and third readings. The recommendation before us is to have this bylaw receive its first, second, and third readings. Ms. McIsaac, is there anything that you wanted to advance on this one?
No, nothing specific. Thank you, Your Worship, but just for the public's interest who may be viewing the meeting in future, this bylaw does impose the increases in recreational fees that have previously been discussed and approved by council. We are looking at about a 3% increase in most of the fees that are contained in our recreation fee bylaw as compared to 2021. So that accounts for both increases in our labor rates as well as the inflationary pressures that we are all facing. And so the bylaw has been prepared in accordance with the decision of council at the previous Governance and Operations Committee meeting and is for you for first, second, and third readings at tonight's meeting.
All right, so the recommendation before us is for the bylaw to receive its first, second, and third readings. Do I have someone to make that motion?
Moved.
Councillor Butler, do I have someone to second that motion? Councillor Jones, thank you. Is there any comments or questions on this matter? Seeing none. Okay, all in favor? Against, if any? Councillor Dobie is voting against and carried. Thank you. So item number 5 is council committee reports. Councillor Gattafoni Robinson, you are first. Did you have anything to share with us?
I have a few things that I've done since we last reported. I attended the graduation class of 2022, 145 students. And Your Worship was there. I think Councillor Jones was there also. I don't know who else was there, but there was a ton of people, and it was nice to see the graduating class after a couple of years come back to be able to watch them. And it was very, very nice. I also attended, along with other council members, the Selkirk College announcement about them receiving the building from the regional district for $1. That was very nice. I also attended Canada Day, and it was very nice to see so many people there, kids in the spray park and kids running all over the place and on this new swing set, and it was very, very nice. And there was a lot of people. I attended the Day of Mourning a while ago, and I also attended the teddy bear picnic. So that's what I've been up to in the last little while. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Councillor Gattafoni Robinson? Seeing none. All right, Councillor Santori, GOC report, and anything else that you have for us?
That's going to be about it. Your Worship, today we had one delegation before the Governance and Operations Committee. That was from Trails Incredible Farmers Market, Gina Ironmonger, and she put forth a request for the use of the Trail Memorial Center kitchen for future events and for getting into actually the production of food and preserves, etc. The bigger kitchen will allow them to provide significantly more meals than what are currently being provided, either for sale or for school food programs and or those most vulnerable in our community in need of a healthy food source. At this point, they have put in a grant in the amount of $100,000. And their request is coming for us for our grant is rent in lieu of. And the deadline, I believe, was July 15th or 18th. Council or staff will be meeting with Gina Ironmonger and members of her committee to get some further details as to what upgrades may be required at in the kitchen at the Memorial Center before council makes a decision. However, council has committed to making a decision in order for them to proceed with their grant request by the deadline. Next on the agenda was we received a report on grants that have been issued up until June the 15th. There was also a request for a grant, and that was a request for a rental waiver from the Trail and District Arts Council in the amount of $800, and that is going towards rental of the enhanced use of Gyro Park. Aside from that, Your Worship, on GOC, that concluded the items under GOC, and I have nothing further to report on any other activities at this time. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions of Councillor Santori? Seeing none, thank you very much. Councillor Jones, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor Payson. I just have a few things. No committee reports. I have a library board report to report on, but I'll start with the June the 16th. I attended the Lower Columbia Learning Center graduation ceremonies, and the winner or the
award recipient?
Yes, thank you. Gosh, I totally left my mind there. Was Jordan Seaman, and she is an Indigenous student artist. And if everybody remembers from the ceremony that we just recently had at Gyro Park, she painted the Camellias plant sign for the recognition of the heritage plant site along Gyro Park. Jordan will be attending art school in Vancouver this coming fall, and I felt very privileged to be giving her the City of Trail Scholarship. And I just want to say good luck to Jordan, because we know she's going to do well. She's just got that amazing presence about her. I also attended and helped at the helped serve at the local 40s pensioners picnic. This year they had 250 people, down, quite a bit from previous years where they were used to getting 500 to 600 people. This year they had 250 people. It was so nice to see everybody there, getting to see their friends and their neighbors after such a long period of time being shut down and not being able to visit each other. And, they got to enjoy a meal together. And I just want to give a big thank you to Local 480 executive and the members who, put in a very long day, starting the meal at 8 o'clock in the morning, preparing all the food and then serving it to all the people and all the cleanup. They always serve a delicious meal of roast beef and, roasted potatoes and salad, and everybody just loves it. And quite honestly, I really enjoyed it this year too. It was so nice to have a nice meal like that. So I wanted to thank them, the Local 480, for doing this event for our community. As the regional director, regional district Kootenay Boundary director, I just had a couple of meetings this month. I attended the board of directors meeting on June the 8th, the board of directors meeting in Grand Forks on June the 29th, and on June the 30th, the West Kootenay Transit Board meeting. I also just have a little bit of information here from the Association of Kootenay Boundary Local Government. As a board member, we had quite a discussion. It was a Zoom meeting call about the up and coming elections. And the board is going to be putting a link on our website for anyone who is interested in running in the up and coming municipal elections for the in this area. There's going to be a section there where there will be information on items of interest for all candidates that are interested. And it's information that everybody should know or would want to know. And we'll be launching that information on our website at https://akblg.ca. And it's going to have information about timing of the election, financial information, etc., things that people need to know. I also, if they're interested in running, I also attended the July 1st celebration at Gyro Park, as Eleanor had spoken about. And she was right. It was so nice to see everybody running around the park, and it was a beautiful day. And there was lots of families there, like big families sitting in groups. And it was really good to see everybody just having fun and going swimming. And it was a great day. And then after that, being able to have fireworks, which everybody really enjoyed. I just also want to mention, as I did before, that I did help out at the Trails Incredible Market. A little bit smaller this time. They only had 45 vendors instead of the usual 52 or 55. And it was still a great turnout. Lots of people enjoying all the vendors, what they had to offer. And again, it was a beautiful day for that as well. We also had our library board meeting for June. I believe the next one won't be until September. We take July and August off so people can enjoy some holidays. But I just have a few stats that I wanted to share with everyone about the library and how well we are doing, and it continues to be the community hub for everyone. Our new membership stats are 30 adults and 12 juveniles for the month of May. Now, this is a number that's absolutely surprising. The monthly physical circulation, 5,241 items went out of the library in the month of May. And for the month of May in 2019, it was 3,536. So those numbers are almost getting close to doubling. It's absolutely amazing. And the electronic circulation was 1,121. That's your ebooks and, some programs that they do on the internet. And the in-person door count for the month of May was 5,698. Now that's people that are, going to the museum and using the library, but those numbers are still pretty amazing. And, thanks for the staff for all the work that they're doing. And yeah, that's the end of my report for tonight. If anybody has any questions.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Jones? Seeing none, thank you very much. Councillor Butler, you're up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. On behalf of Council, I attended the following meetings and events. On the 16th of June, I attended the LCC-TDS monthly meeting. On June 18th, I attended the Indigenous and Métis Day celebration at Gyro, followed by the car show and the Trail Incredible Farmers Market. That evening, I attended the Trail Pride Society's social at the new distillery downtown, which was very fun. On June 22nd, I attended the Trail and District Chamber of Commerce meeting. On the 23rd, along with yourself, Councillor Dobie and Councillor Jones, I attended the local 480s Pensioner Summer Picnic at Birchbank. On the 28th, I attended the Downtown Improvement Committee's monthly meeting. And lastly, on the 1st of July, I attended the Canada Day celebrations at Gyro, and I just wanted to extend a thank you to the Kiwanis Club for all their hard work to bring that celebration together at Gyro. Those are my reports. Thank you very much.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Butler? Seeing none, Councillor Dobie, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor Payson. I too attended, as Councillor Butler had mentioned, the local Friday barbecue picnic on the June the 23rd. And after not having that for 2 years for COVID, it was so refreshing to have it come back. I know a lot of seniors look so forward to it, and they actually start arriving. Supper isn't served till 5, but they usually start arriving about 1 o'clock and make it a full day. So on June the 24th, that was the day that I already sent one email to council when the garden club from Kelowna, there was 8 ladies, I believe, 2 carfuls that came over, and Dan Rodley, myself, and Rachel Brown jammed in as much as we possibly could in the hour and a half that we had to take them around the city. They were actually on their way to Nelson, and somebody had said, you need to stop and trail first if you're going to Nelson. Since the one email that I circulated that we received, we have received 2 or 3 more, and all accolades about the city. But the biggest thing they all said, and was 100% agreement, that they have to come back to trail. They want to see more of what they weren't, they didn't have enough time allotted to see all the things that we had planned for them. So that was great, getting that kind of feedback from the ladies. I have 2 committee reports. I have a report from Gina Ironmonger on the Father's Day weekend. We had, just a second here. On the Father's Day weekend, we had over 58 vendors, and 2,787 visitors. And the prize of a planter box and planting material was won by Mr. Mike Bryan. That was the Father's Day gift for the Father's Day market weekend. Last weekend, because it was the long weekend, we usually expect the attendance will be down, but we did have 48 vendors and 1,309 visitors so far. That's our lowest attendance this year. On the Father's Day market again, I would just like to report that the car club was down 25 cars this year because of the requirements from US citizens to come across the border. A lot of them aren't getting vaccinated. And the car display that was affected the most was the Corvettes. So what does that equate to in terms of the city? Because we didn't have those 25 cars, the merchants lost close to $17,000 in sales. And Dan Rodley is the one that keeps track of all this and calculates it. And that amount, the $17,000, would include registration fees, 2 nights at the Best Western, meals, and a bit of shopping. And because we coupled the market and the car show this year, which was just an incredible idea, they loved going to the market. So because of the overall success for both sides, I hope that this is going to be something that will continue on Father's Day week, and that we will couple the market with the car show. Some of the businesses downtown benefited. The brewery opened up early on Friday and Saturday, and apparently they did a phenomenal business. On Communities in Bloom, as you probably have noticed, we were quite a bit slower this year in getting some of the planters out and the hanging baskets. The biggest issue was we weren't able to get enough flowers. Everybody was short, all the vendors and the greenhouses. And the costs went up this year from 10 to 20%, as well as us looking at the increase to gas costs. So that affects us with the watering truck. However, we've installed a new pump system in the watering truck, and I believe we've cut the time down, just because we've got a better pump, by over 30% for what it takes now to water the plants. I also want to mention that this Saturday is the garden tour. The garden tour will run from Roslyn down to Beaver Valley. It starts at 9 in the morning and concludes at 4 in the afternoon. There will be 8 gardens between Roslyn and the Beaver Valley. The attendees have the option of just buying the map and going on their own, or paying for their luncheon and getting a map and again going on their own, or paying the higher price and going on the bus tour. As of this morning, there were only 2 seats left on the bus tour. So tickets have gone very well for this year's event. One other thing that I wanted to mention that happened on the weekend, and I know we generally don't talk about this at council, but the provincial softball tournament for girls between, I think, 14 and 16 or 15 and 17 was held in Kamloops, and the West Kootenay Rebels, which consists of girls from Trail, here we are, from Trail, Salmo, Castlegar, and if you can believe it, one young girl comes from Winlaw. We won the provincials, and prior to winning the provincials, we had won the 3 previous tournaments that were taking place on a circulation tour throughout the province. Not only was the win, I think, just real accolade for these girls and gives us another reason to be proud of athletes in the city, but there was a follow-up letter that came from one of the supporting organizations just giving accolades about our team members, the way the girls presented themselves, their mannerism, their sportsmanship, and their teamship. And you usually don't get those kinds of letters. So I just can't pass enough compliments on to this group of young girls. They, I think, not only by winning the tournament, but their behavior and the way they present themselves has done our city very proud. That concludes my report, Mayor Payson.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Dobie? Seeing none, okay, I'll provide my report. So there's a bit of repetition with other people, so I'll just keep that part brief and concentrate on the ones that that have not been discussed yet. So first, the Social Housing Committee. As usual with this committee, everyone roundtables that the work that they do to help the vulnerable population. What has happened subsequently to the meeting is a meeting on the Sharps disposal map, trying to figure out, is there gaps in the city where we don't have Sharps containers, but also who is emptying them, and then getting a map finalized and GPSed. Youth at risk is advanced as a need for housing and beds, and what was indicated is that the existing shelter is not an appropriate place for youth at risk, so they're looking to potentially secure beds for youth separate from the shelter. I indicated to this group that the city would be continuing our advocacy at the UBCM for anything involving housing, homelessness, vulnerable population. And CDS has secured funds from BC Housing to install lighting in the alley behind the shelter in the hopes of preventing unwanted activity at night in that location. I provided a welcome for National Indigenous Day on Saturday, June 18th. With respect to the Trail Health and Environment Committee, there was 2 members from South Australia Environmental Protection Agency that came to Trail. They also have a smelting facility in their country, and they came to have a tour of tech and share some learnings from our program. So they were here for about a week, which was very informative for all involved. The terms of reference for the committee were renewed, and we have 3 new committee members who joined, which is amazing. Tech spoke about the sulfur dioxide reduction program, discussed their highlights and the significant capital infrastructure they're going to be putting in to change or to modernize their sulfur dioxide facility. It is very, very good, but there's always room for continuous improvement, and it's $50 million of investment that's going in this year. We are working on a strategic directions document, and it is hope that we will have that approved for September. Home visits are starting again for enhanced supports for families. And just a reminder to everyone in the community that lawn and yard remediations are occurring. And if you would like your soil sampled, please go online to www.thep.ca, and you can register online and get your yard sampled to see what your levels of metals are in your soils. My next meeting was the West Kootenay Boundary Regional Hospital District meeting. This was a fairly short meeting for the hospital district, and we discussed the UBCM priorities. So the top 4 priorities that we are going to discuss at the UBCM is a permanent MRI structure and trail, enhancing patient transportation across our health authority because it is so vast, increased funding and implementation of primary care networks, and capital improvements and staffing improvements for laboratory services. IH provided an update. The pharmacy ambulatory care project at KBRH is going very well. The pharmacy phase 1, oncology and physio rehab are expected to open in July and August of this year. Phase 2, pharmacy and ambulatory care general clinic are expected to open March 2023, and then that will conclude the project. Our oncology clinic is now staffed by GP oncologists with Dr. Scotland's retirement, and this model is also integrating into the Kelowna Cancer Clinic. This model uses virtual appointments as well as consultations and in-person meetings. And they also noted that adolescent mental health is an emerging priority, and there's a team now based out of Trail to deliver programming for youth mental health. I also attended the Pensioners Picnic hosted by the local 4-H, and I agree it was really a lovely day. The weather couldn't have been nicer. A lot of hard work done by everyone to make that happen, so thank you. And I also attended the JL Pro graduation, provided a welcome, and handed out a couple of awards that the city funded, actually 3 awards. I also attended the Canada Day celebration. I provided a welcome, and it was a really lovely day again. And I just want to pass some recognition on to the Kiwanis members. Councillor Butler and I were fortunate enough to provide service awards, and the service awards they gave them were the same style that they utilized at the Chamber of Commerce Awards, made by a local artist, and they're really, really well done. Now, Wayne and Yogi had delivered over 600 meals, and that's a conservative estimate, to seniors and citizens in need during the pandemic. It was brought to the attention of the city and then to Ferrero's that, you know, there is a need in our community to have groceries delivered to shut-ins or people who are just didn't want to leave the house or couldn't leave the house. And so over 600 meals delivered by the Kiwanis members, and the orders were done through Ferrero's and then delivered to the people. So that's just such a nice success story. And thank you to the Kiwanis for all your hard work with the celebration and with the grocery delivery. So does anyone have any questions? That concludes my reports. No? Okay, we'll carry on. Item number 6 is the consent agenda. There are 5 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone want anything pulled out for further discussion? Okay, Councillor Jones. So let's make a motion to receive all the items, and then we will pull anything out that needs to be pulled out. So do I have someone to make a motion to receive items 6.1 to 6.5? Councillor Santori and Councillor Jones, second. All in favor? Against, if any? Carried, thank you. Okay, Councillor Jones, you're up. What would you like to pull out for discussion?
I would like to pull out 6.2 and 6.4.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Well, I just think that I think it's important to continue supporting the libraries, and any chance we get an opportunity to request more funding, I think it's important, as well as I reported in my committee reports today, this afternoon. The library is still doing amazing things for every section of our community out there, you know, from the seniors to the children to the vulnerable population, and everything in between. They're still working hard and doing lots of good work, but with the same amount of money. So I think we need to support this letter that was written, and from both Trail and District Public Library and the City of New Westminster.
Okay, so Michelle, is that enough for you to craft a motion?
Yes, Mayor Payson, just recognizing how close we are to UBCM, though it may be worthwhile for us just to write our response letters back to the library board, as well as to, I believe it's the City of New Westminster, verbalizing council support of their initiatives. But then for those delegates who are traveling to the UBCM and will be attending the resolution section, know that you have this further information in hand that would, I guess, influence your voting when those matters do come forward. So rather than us putting letters to the actual UBCM, I would suggest we just send those letters to the authors of these two, as Councillor Jones had noted.
And I just want to add that as well, that we have requested a meeting on library funding. So if we are successful, then we will be passing that messaging along to advocate for increased library funding. So I have Councillor Jones passing that motion to pull those items out and to advance letters to the respective organizations. Councillor Santori, are you seconding that? Or did you? Yeah, okay, great. All right, any other questions on this matter? No, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried, thank you. Is there anything else that needs to be pulled out? I don't see anything, so I think we can move on from that. Any new business? Councillor Joby?
This isn't exactly new business, but I'm not sure if I'm behind or not. But do we have somebody managing the concession at Gyro? The last time,
It's Trail Association for Community Living.
but I thought they weren't doing it this year.
They're not.
So there's nobody
Ms.
operating.
McIsaac, do you want to provide an update on that?
I just didn't want to step on Mr. McClure's toes if he was going to chime in, but to may not have been brought up to speed. So yes, in years past, the Trail Association for Community Living have manned the concession booths, both at Gyro Park and at Haley, just for events, with considerable financial support from the city to subsidize, I guess, the work teams and the coaches that are on site for those concessions. The city was informed earlier this year that the Association for Community Living would not have the resources to do the concession service. At that time, a proposal call was let. We were looking for, the city was looking for independent operators for the concession. I understand from our Parks and Rec director that we did not receive any submissions to that proposal call. So we don't have an operator coming forward. And so unfortunately for this year's service, unless things have changed over I'd say about the last 2 weeks, there won't be concession operations at Gyro or Haley for events.
Okay, that's a shame. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other?
I just had one other question. In the past, when we had music in the park going, the Gateway Christian Center was coming in, I believe, every Thursday morning and doing the Goose Patrol Pit cleanup. Have we heard from them this year as to whether or not they're doing that?
I haven't been informed, and nor would I think Parks and Rec have been formally advised. If I recall in past years, the volunteer organizers would submit correspondence to the city at the completion of the season, letting us know how many volunteers were involved in their efforts and how many pounds of waste that they had removed. But I don't know that they've ever given us indication in advance or any formal scheduling to that. So
okay,
I can check further with the Public Works and Parks and Rec department, but we really are at the mercy of the volunteer organization and them, their willingness, I guess, to provide that important service.
okay. Thanks, Ms. McIsaac.
Okay, any other new business? Seeing none, so we're item number 8, department reports. We have 2 department reports, the RDKB Building Department Report of May 2022 and the Bylaw Enforcement Department Report of May 2022. The recommendation is that these 2 reports be received for information. Do I have someone to make that motion? Councillor Butler, do I have someone to second that motion? Councillor Doby, thank you. Are there any questions on these reports? Seeing none, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried. And that's it. Can I have someone move for adjournment? 6:47 p.m.
So moved.
Councillor Dobie, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for attending, and we'll see you
Night, everybody.
in a couple weeks. Thank you.